Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. We are tonight's entertainment.
I protest. I am not a merry man.
Hey, where are the white women at?
I'm gonna make him an offer again.
Danger, intrigue, a damsel in distress. I'm actually looking forward to it.
This town needs an enema.
Here we all know. Entertainer.
Okay, thank you for joining us for what is ultimately episode 0 of the Containment Unit. I'm Tony.
I'm Lindsay.
And we're calling this episode 0 because this is just kind of a test podcast. I don't even know if this is ever even going to make it to the stream on SoundCloud and iTunes if we ever put it up there. But in case we do, just, we're kind of just messing around, putting our foot in the water, seeing how things go with this. And this is called the Containment Unit. We were kind of on the fence about, did we want a Ghostbusters title or did we want a geek title?
You're just all over geek title, so it's just...
Yeah, and we even thought of a few titles that kind of merged a few ideas of geekdom.
Different genres, different verses.
Yeah, stuff like that. And just the big thing is, we may be part of a Ghostbusters cosplay group. Mm-hmm. Most of the people that are going to be involved with this podcast are fellow Phoenix Ghostbusters, but this podcast is not going to be Ghostbuster-centric.
Right.
We're going to be talking about a lot of different things in pop culture and geekdom. Mm-hmm. And just to kind of kickstart things today, Lindsay and I were talking about a potential topic for tonight, and we're big movie buffs, so we thought about some of our most beloved films that we feel are vastly and criminally underappreciated.
Criminally?
Some of these are criminally underappreciated, definitely. I've got a couple on my list, at least, that I don't get how people can slam that movie and then defend some others. I think that's horrible. So I want Lindsay to kickstart this. So what's your first movie that you feel is just vastly underrated?
The first, I actually made a bit of a list, so we're not going to be able to get to all of them. But the first movie that I have on my list is a movie called Interstate 60. And it stars Gary Oldman, who is one of my all-time favorites. He's just wonderful. And James Marsden.
Cyclops from X-Men, the original X-Men trilogy.
With Patrick Stewart as Xavier.
Yeah.
Right, so that's Cyclops. And it's basically he takes this road trip on this very little known, it's not even on maps, this interstate called Interstate 60, and people can't even find it on maps. And it's and he meets this array of just fascinating, amazing people. He goes on this adventure that just takes him to all these weird, different places you'd never think existed, like a town that consists of nothing but lawyers.
Yeah.
And it's there are just other actors who just happen to pop up in there from time to time, like Amy Jo Johnson, the original Pink Ranger.
Her scene is by far the best scene in the whole movie.
Yeah, and we cannot repeat what happens in that scene because that would just ruin our PG-13 rating. And then was it Chris Cooper?
Chris Cooper is in there.
He shows up. His character's so funny.
Yeah, he's somebody who we can give away a little bit. He's dying of cancer,
of lung cancer, and so he's sitting there smoking a cigarette. He's like, I'm already dying. Why not? But because he's already dying, he has an explosive vest strapped to him at all times. And if he finds that he's in a situation where people are lying, he threatens to blow it up. And he's like, I'm dying. I don't care. I'll take you with me now. Tell the truth. Even if it's something small, like this guy who's holding a sign who says willing to work for food. And he's like, and it's this whole thing. He's like, you're not willing to work for food. You just want a handout. So just tell the truth. He's like, yeah, man, I just want a handout. And it's so funny. But Kurt Russell has a small bit in it. He's a sheriff of this town. Where
I totally forgot Kurt Russell's in that.
Yeah, they all work hard by day, but then they're all drug addicts by night and everything. And he's the sheriff.
The movie starts off with a very surprise cameo of Michael J. Fox.
Michael J. Fox, yeah.
And it's also got Christopher Lloyd.
Yeah, Christopher Lloyd is a secondary character in it, and he's basically the character that the plot is going towards.
Yeah, he kind of kickstarts things.
Right,
and he's also at the end.
Right.
So, yeah, he kind of bookmarks the journey.
Right, but the reason why those two are in it is because the movie was written and I think directed by, I cannot remember, Bob I cannot remember the guy's name. He was one of the writers and directors of.
Yeah, I need to turn in my geek card for.
I know
it's not Robert Zemeckis, but it was the writer of Back to the Future trilogy.
There's going to be some shuffling as I go over and grab the Interstate 60 disc because it's going to drive me crazy if I figure it out.
But it is definitely a movie that I feel it's one of those. It's in all alphabetical order.
I know. I need to learn my alphabet. Shut up.
It is definitely a movie that when she told me about it, I just kind of looked at her and went, "What?" And we sat down and watched it, and it was hilarious. Bob Gale. For some reason, I kept going to Bob Ezrin, and he's a producer.
Bob. I knew
it was Bob. I kept going to like Bob Ezrin, but he's a producer on Kiss albums.
Yeah.
And then Bob Geldof, who's like a musician, a really weird musician, and I think he does like Live Aid and stuff like that. But anyway, yeah. Bob Gale is the writer-director on that, so definitely brought in some Back to the Future friends.
Right, and you can see Michael J. Fox, who has Parkinson's, so you can see him using his twitch to add something to the character. Like the character is like really frustrated and really angry and everything. And so he uses the twitch to kind of add an extra bit of like the guy is so angry that he just kind of twitches when he does stuff. So he integrates it into his character.
Oh yeah, definitely. So the first movie on my list is one that I know that we tend to agree on for this. Criminally underrated, unjustly bashed by fans.
Right, yeah.
Suicide Squad.
Yeah.
And I know there's a lot of people listening. We are going to send this to a few people. And I know probably every single one of our friends are sitting there laughing hysterically that I will speak ill of a recent reboot that came out in 2016, but I'll praise Suicide Squad. Mm-hmm. And at the same respect, I will say I don't get how you can praise that reboot and then trash Suicide Squad. For me, I will never say Suicide Squad is a good movie.
No,
Not in the least. Enjoyable as hell? Absolutely. Especially the extended cut that came out on Blu-ray. Mm-hmm. I love that even more.
Yeah.
I think that it is very flawed. I'm never going to defend it on cinematic merits.
Oh, the script is like...
The script is horrid at times.
Plot, yeah.
But for me, I've never seen a movie that made Jai Courtney enjoyable to watch.
I'm bad with names. You're going to have to tell me.
Captain Boomerang.
Okay.
Yeah, he was in Terminator
right.
Genesis and Live Free or Die Hard as John McClane's son, which was...
horrible.
That was... there's no defending the Die Hard films after the third film.
Right.
But with Suicide Squad, Will Smith as Deadshot was playing Will Smith, no doubt about it.
Yeah.
It was still fun. Margot Robbie as Harley Quinn... Mm-hmm. Spot on. Mm-hmm. Perfect. I hope she keeps playing Harley Quinn. They've got Gotham Sirens coming out soon.
Yeah.
I want to see her in the Batman films. I want to see her play Harley Quinn for the next several years. Apart from that, other members of the cast were very good. Viola Davis, who played
Amanda Waller.
Mm-hmm. I love Viola Davis, and I think she was perfect for that character.
Yeah.
Loved seeing Ben Affleck in there for the cameos in the kind of backstory of the characters, and then at the end. I thought it was very fitting.
Yeah.
And also, Amanda Waller just laying it on the line, you need to stop working nights.
Yeah.
And it's just like, okay, she knows.
Oh, yeah.
You know, and...
I like having that bit of cameo by the Flash too.
Oh yeah.
Because it's other than in Batman versus Superman when he does the time travel bit and everything, and he's I'm too soon, but in this you actually get to see him. He's kind of snarky. He's kind of the way he's standing there is very casual.
You're finally getting a taste of what Ezra Miller is going to portray as the Flash.
Right. Exactly. So
and I'm not going to say everybody on the Suicide Squad was great.
Right.
Enchantress was interesting but horrible as a villain.
Yeah.
Katana was really interesting. I liked the inclusion of Katana, but we didn't get much from the character, didn't get much from the actress, so I'm not going to sit there and go, oh, she was amazing. She was just kind of there.
Yeah.
Flag, take him or leave him. I would be really interested to see, like in an Elseworld, or Elseworld to us.
Yeah.
I would love to see the original casting for that. Tom Hardy. I think Tom Hardy would have been really good as Flag.
Although the one thing about the guy who played Flag, isn't he he's Australian or something like that?
Something like that, yeah.
And I didn't even realize. I mean, normally when you have someone who's Australian, there are bits of their accent that you can still pick up, especially with the Australian accent. It's the O sound. Mm-hmm. And never once did I hear his break. Never once did I hear it come out. So I didn't even realize that that he wasn't even American, and it's just like, I'm sorry, I can't talk right now.
But the same with, it's a very forgettable film, but he was the new Alex Murphy in the RoboCop reboot.
Yeah, I don't even remember. I know I watched it and had Gary Oldman in it, and I just don't remember.
The best part of the film is Michael Keaton.
Yeah,
but
that's being said a lot lately.
Yeah, well, Michael Keaton's always been great. He just kind of went away for a bit, and now we're finally getting Keaton back, which I'm so happy about. But anyway, with this whole cast for Suicide Squad, the one that gets the most grief, and again I will say is unjustly, Jared Leto as the Joker.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
He is not the Joker people wanted to see, and I get that. Does he fit with the comic books?
Yeah.
Absolutely.
The way he did that.
He's not the Joker we wanted,
but he's the Joker we needed.
Deserved or we needed, yeah. And I think that, a lot of people were wanting certain things with the most recent DC films that they didn't get. But when you look at the vast history of the characters of Batman, Superman, the Joker, we are getting representations from the comic books.
Yeah.
We are getting representations that we've seen before. It's just not what people wanted. That doesn't mean that they're bad. I think Jared Leto as the Joker was fascinating.
Yeah,
and it was a lot of fun. And especially in the extended cut of Suicide Squad, we got to see more of him in there. So just for me, it's, again, I'm going to say it again, it's not a good movie. It's enjoyable as can be, though, and I just think people don't give it the credit it does deserve.
Yeah, I have fun with that one.
All right, what's your next movie?
Oh, my turn again. Let's see. What was on my list? Kiss Kiss Bang Bang. Let's talk about Kiss Kiss Bang Bang.
Okay. Now, that's one I saw on your list, and I was kind of surprised because I don't know if that's really... I don't know if I would call it, underrated, but I'm interested.
Really? You think so?
Well, I'm interested to see what you think about it.
Because I never hear it talked about. I mean, I think you and I came across it accidentally. We just went, oh, hey, look, a Robert Downey Jr. movie with Val Kilmer. And I've never even talked to anybody else. I think maybe one other person I've ever talked to has ever seen it.
Really?
Yeah.
Okay, so I'm just going from my own personal history.
Right.
Now, to clarify, the way that we were exposed to it initially was just me, actually. Mm-hmm. It was a free movie that we were giving away tickets for that was being advertised for the radio stations that I worked at in Albuquerque.
Okay.
So I only got to see like the first half of the movie before I had to take the van back to the station so it could be picked up for a late night club date.
Right.
So when it finally came out on DVD, I was eager to show it to you, and then we watched it. This is very early in our relationship, so we hadn't even gotten married yet.
Yeah.
And as soon as we watched it, we were in love with it.
Yeah.
And it's been part of our movie collection ever since. But I hear it mentioned a lot just because I frequent several podcasts from like movie buffs and geek podcasts. And it very much is a movie that a lot of people are like, oh, this brought Robert Downey Jr. back. It's the reason he's Iron Man. And it is the reason why Shane Black wrote and directed Iron Man 3.
Mm-hmm. And that's the thing. I never talked to anybody who's ever even heard of the movie. If they have, it just never comes up in conversation because it's nothing that comes directly to their mind. And so just for that reason, I feel like it doesn't get enough representation But then you like you said, you hear it talked about in other podcasts and stuff all the time. So maybe I'm just not, listening to the right crowd.
No, but I definitely agree. To the mainstream audiences, it's probably not recognizable.
Right.
Not very well known amongst Robert Downey Jr. and Val Kilmer's filmography.
Now, should we explain the movie a little bit for anyone listening who has not heard
definitely. Go ahead.
Kiss Bang Bang. Kiss Kiss Bang Bang has already been mentioned, stars Robert Downey Jr. and Val Kilmer. And Robert Downey Jr. is a thief who accidentally gets into a Hollywood audition and is cast. You can't see my bunny rabbit ears, quotation marks. Cast into a role for a movie where he is set up with this private investigator played by Val Kilmer, because he's supposed to be studying what it means to be a private investigator for this role. And Val Kilmer plays the character known as Gay Perry.
Gay Perry, yeah.
Right. And so it's just chock full of gay jokes and everything.
Well, and Val Kilmer, this movie does make Val Kilmer the first major character in an action film to be gay.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Really? Historical knowledge. There we go. And excuse me. And it just certain things just come out of left field, like the dog with the finger.
Yes.
And I don't want to give too much away if anyone's listening going, oh, I want to go see that now. Just watch it. It's so funny.
If you enjoyed Iron Man 3, if you enjoyed the action, the seriousness, but also the very tongue-in-cheek humor, you've got to check this movie out.
Yeah.
And it's a Shane Black movie, which means
it's Christmas time.
It's Christmas time, and the script is very witty.
Yeah.
Now, for the people that have seen it, I do want to throw in a little bit of movie trivia. So there's the scene right after he meets Gay Perry.
Okay.
In the movie, Robert Downey Jr. was trying to play the gentleman. He caught a guy trying to fondle a drunk girl. He steps in.
Passed out drunk.
Passed out drunk. He steps in and gets his butt handed to him by this guy. And then the girl and the guy leave together. And as Robert Downey Jr.'s character is leaving, he goes up to the girl who's handing out the gift bags. Oh, thanks for coming to this Hollywood party. Here's a gift bag with a cell phone, an iPod, and $10,000 worth of stuff that you don't really need. Mm-hmm. And the girl that is passing out those bags, and he talks to her for a bit, hey, this girl, do you know where she is and all that, is the girl that played his girlfriend in Weird Science.
Oh, really?
Yes. I know that was a whole roundabout way, but I just think that that's hilarious that, this is, 20 some odd years later, they're back on screen together. And I don't think she's had much of a career since Weird Science. So I think she was brought in as a favor, hey,
really?
I've got this old friend. Let's just bring her in for this small role.
Yeah.
Okay, so the next film I want to bring up, after Suicide Squad, it's kind of ironic because it's another kind of team movie, The A-Team.
I love that movie.
The A-Team is another one that is just so much fun. But this time, I will argue, it is a very good film.
Yeah.
I think it is a fantastic film. It is one of the few times in Hollywood that they have taken an old TV show and done it justice without turning it into a ridiculous comedic twist.
I know.
Charlie's Angels, Baywatch, Chips. All these
Dukes of Hazzard,
which at first I enjoyed the movie.
Oh yeah.
The more I've seen it, I like it because it has all the guys from Broken Lizard, and it's directed by one of the guys from Broken Lizard. But it's just not good.
Seeing Dukes of Hazzard, I was just going, this is not Dukes of Hazzard.
No, it's not.
Okay, so back to...
But all these serious, semi-serious TV shows... Now they're making ridiculous comedies out of them.
Right.
But A-Team, action adventure with some comedy sprinkled in where it was necessary. The casting was spot on.
Yeah.
Liam Neeson as Hannibal.
Oh gosh, I love him.
Amazing in that film. Everyone's sitting there saying, Ryan Reynolds has got to play Face Man.
Right.
And then they get Bradley Cooper. And it's like, Okay, never mind.
Yeah, I think that movie gave me a little crush on Bradley Cooper.
Bradley Cooper stole that movie for a lot of people. And then Sharlto Copley as Howling Mad Murdoch was my favorite part of the movie.
Did you hear that joke that he and, the guy who plays B.A.?
Rampage Jackson.
You know, the jokes that they had behind offset?
No, I didn't.
Because the guy playing Murdoch, he's from South Africa.
Yes.
So the guy playing, I'm really bad with BAs with names, so I'm just gonna say BA and stuff like that.
Yeah.
So
Quentin Rampage Jackson.
Okay. So and the guy playing BA Rampage Jackson says to him, "You should become an American, then you and I'd be the only African Americans on the cast."
Okay, that's good. And funny enough, because Sharlto Copley is from South Africa, that's why they threw in the scene where Murdoch gets stuck with the wrong passport saying that he's from like Zimbabwe or something.
Yeah.
And the guy from the counter is speaking to him in Swahili, and out of nowhere Murdoch starts speaking Swahili.
You know Swahili?
You don't? But all in, and I'll even say Quentin Rampage Jackson gets a lot of grief for that movie, saying that he was not a good actor. He's following in the footsteps of Mr. T.
Right, yeah.
Were you expecting
like
James Earl Jones?
Yeah.
Would Idris Elba be a good fill-in? Well, okay.
Idris Elba
as B.A. Baracus would be amazing. But what I'm saying is that the source material, we had Mr. T. Not a standard bearer for acting abilities. So Quentin Rampage Jackson did a very good job with what he was supposed to do.
Right.
The whole team had chemistry. There were some downsides to the movie. I'm not going to say that there weren't. Jessica Biel.
Oh, yeah.
Jessica Biel, to me, is a downside in almost every movie she's in.
She does. Yeah.
She's just... She doesn't have the charm necessary to carry her end of the stick with any kind of movie like this.
Because she's too cocky, and it comes over in her performance.
Yeah, and this performance, part of it was being cocky and being conceited. But from everything I've read about her, all I felt like was, she's just playing herself.
Yeah.
And, it didn't seem like she was playing a character. The two guys that were her... like deputies or assistants or whatever, they were much better as characters than she was.
Yeah.
I think they did a great job honoring the tone of the original series, the ridiculousness of what they had to do to get out of situations, and they're trying to shoot down the drones. No, they're flying the tank.
Yeah.
It really grasped the feel. My problem with the film is how it ended, where everything was resolved, but they're still arrested for
breaking out of jail. Yeah,
and now that's what they're escaping custody for. It's like, no, if that were real life, the president would just go, "I'm going to pardon you because you did all this for us. I'm going to pardon you for breaking out of prison because that's what you needed to do."
Right.
I wanted to see more of the A-teams. I wanted to see something where they didn't clear their names, but they still got, some kind of retribution. That way, that would make sense for another film.
Right.
The way they ended it just killed any possibility of a follow-up, and then it didn't do well at the box office. Critics were slamming it, but fans loved it.
Yeah.
And I'm one of them. It's one of my top 10 favorite films, to be honest.
Yeah. Do we have time for more?
Yeah, let's keep going.
Okay, so let's see here. Next one on my list, Repo the Genetic Opera. Yeah?
That is the epitome of that's a movie that I don't even think made $1 million at the box office.
It actually started as a genetic opera, as an opera itself, didn't it? Like
it started as
a play,
as a short film.
Oh, did it?
And I think they were moving into making it a play at one time, but it started with just a short film that Terrence Zudnik, the writer and the guy that plays the grave robber, put together, and
it has Anthony Stewart Head. Of Buffy the Vampire Slayer fame. He's actually on two things on my list because I also put a couple TV shows on there. I put Merlin, and he was in Merlin. But anyway, so Repo the Genetic Opera. It's got him. It's got, I'm really bad with the names, She was in Spy Kids, and then as she got older, she was in
Alexa Vega.
Yeah.
Yes.
And she plays the daughter. She plays
Anthony Stewart Head's daughter. Now, just a little bit of pretense. This takes place in a world where
like dystopian.
Yeah, it's a dystopian future, and cosmetic surgery is the fad to the point where people are taking out loans. Not just for
and it's
cosmetic.
not cosmetic. Like people are having like heart transplants, but the heart transplants are on loans, and if you don't pay on the loan, like if you get a car and you got a loan out on a car, the car can come and be repoed if you don't pay on it. Mm-hmm. It's like that. If you don't pay on your organ, then the organ can come and be repoed.
Yeah, by the repo man, Anthony Stewart Head.
Right. Oh,
and
so good.
His daughter has no idea, and it's called The Genetic Opera because the whole film is sung. There is no spoken dialogue.
I think there was a little bit. There's some in there, isn't there?
Even when they do like what we would consider spoken, it's still done with music, and it's still done with a little bit of harmony.
Yeah, but it's the whole plot point of she's been led to believe that she is sickly and can't go out at all, or else she'll die from germs and exposure and stuff like that. So he keeps her locked away in this room, and she is like 17 years old now, and she's like, I want to get out of this place. So she sneaks out, and she learns what the world is really like, and she learns some hard truths. She learns about
her mother.
Yeah,
who her death is the catalyst for
the whole
movie, basically. And just when I said that, it was underrated at the box office, it had a budget of $8.5 million.
Whoa!
Guess how much it brought in at the box office?
How much?
$188,000.
Oh my gosh!
Yes, so this didn't even get $250,000.
Yeah.
And I think people just weren't ready for it. They saw from the producers of Saw, and they're like, great, another gore fest. It's going to be gore porn. And they do have some of that, because of the nature of the story. And Anthony Stewart Head being the repo man.
Right. He's like tearing organs out of people and stuff. Yeah.
But then I don't think people were expecting the singing, even though it's the genetic opera.
Like, that's in the title. It's not like we're adding that as an explanation. It's in the title.
And it's got a great cast. Anthony Stewart Head, Alexa Vega, Bill Moseley, who a lot of people will recognize from Texas Chainsaw Massacre 2, The Devil's Rejects.
Okay.
He is phenomenal.
I never saw Devil's Rejects.
And I'm going to show that to you this Halloween. But Devil's Rejects, House of a Thousand Corpses, He plays Otis in those films. He is one of the villains in this. He's like the son of the main villain. Basically, he's like Donald Trump Jr.
Oh, okay.
And I'm not trying to make a political statement. I'm just saying that
if you think of your top mogul and then the mogul's children,
and that's exactly what it is. It is a mogul, and then it's the mogul's 3 children, and I swear you look at the way they act, it's 2 boys and a girl, and it seems like the 3 main Trump kids nowadays.
Yeah.
And the female, the daughter,
Paris Hilton.
is Paris Hilton. And surprisingly, she doesn't do a horrible job.
She's not exactly good.
Yeah, it's not good at all, but it's not horrid.
But when you hear Paris Hilton acting and singing in an opera, and you're thinking, ugh, and then you see it and you hear it, and she's like, "Oh, okay, all right, I'll give her some credit."
Yeah, but then we have someone like Paul Sorvino, an amazing actor from Goodfellas, is the main villain in this. And I think he's the one that I'm just like, okay, whatever. But the rest of the cast, it's another one of those that's a lot of fun. There's definitely some flaws. I just think the tone and what it was, people weren't ready for. Same thing with Sweeney Todd.
But then they tried to make a few years ago with
Jude Law?
Jude Law, yeah, where they called it Repo Men, and it was like several people like doing the same type of thing.
Yeah, and that was Forrest Whitaker was also in that.
Oh, really?
And that was a more science fiction approach to the idea, but it was the same thing. It was people having to take out loans for necessary
organs,
surgeries
yeah.
and organs. The only difference is with Repo in the story point is that getting a new lung is cosmetic in this. It's like a status symbol.
Yeah.
It's like, oh my God, have you seen Susie? She's got last year's liver.
Oh my gosh.
Stuff like that. So.
Oh my gosh.
Okay, so for me and my next film that I feel is very underrated, Equilibrium.
Oh yeah. Mm-hmm.
Equilibrium is a Christian Bale dystopian science fiction film. Long story short, it is a future where they finally figured out what causes wars, what causes violence.
Human emotion.
Human emotion. And they decide that they're going to go ahead and outlaw human emotion. So everybody has to take this drug a couple times a day. It's an injection that suppresses...
I thought it was a pill.
No, it's something. Remember, they inject themselves in their neck.
Because I thought they were like hiding pills or something.
No, they're hiding the vials.
Oh,
because
okay.
they all have. It's kind of like they all carry around the injection port and they just stick it in their neck and go about their day. And in this world, the people who enforce the no emotions rule are called clerics, and Christian Bale is the top cleric. And due to an accident and just some happenstance, he misses a dose.
Doesn't he miss like 2 doses?
Well, he misses one by accident, and then as the emotions start flooding in, he then starts purposely missing doses.
Yeah.
And so now, because he is law enforcement, he's having to suppress it when he's around them. But then he ends up becoming the icon and the leader of the resistance.
Yeah.
And it is such a fascinating film to see these actors really just giving deadpan performances, and then you start seeing the emotions creep in. And then you start getting little twists, and you're like, oh, I see where that is now. A really good cast. Sean Bean's in it, so you know he dies. Taye Diggs is in it, and
oh my gosh!
Not to give anything away, but Taye Diggs is a villain-ish kind of guy, and has one of the greatest death scenes ever.
That actually made like a top 10.
Yes, it did. Yeah. You've probably seen it if you've seen like top 10 death scenes, because his death scene is amazing. It is a very emotional film.
Yeah.
And there is one scene in there.
A lot of people have to fast forward through it. Yeah.
Us included. Whenever we watch this, we can't watch the scene because anything that causes emotion in this world is outlawed.
Like music, paintings, colors.
Yeah, everything is gray.
Black and white, yeah.
And like they even don't even let people have windows. Like there are windows in all the buildings because it's what's left over from, it's not like they just rebuilt the whole world.
Right.
But so they take the windows and there's like a layer of plastic over it to where you get the light shining through, but you can't see the view.
Right.
And another thing that is banned, pets. And there's a scene with dogs that...
Puppies.
Puppies. Specifically puppies. I don't really want to get into it, but it's so hard to watch. It's hard to watch, but by the end of the film, you're cheering and you're really into it. And isn't Dominic Purcell in it?
I don't think so. I don't remember him being in it.
You're
gonna have to look that up, aren't you?
So yeah, I'm gonna look that up while. But again, Equilibrium. If you haven't seen that, again, it's Christian Bale, and this is the film that he did to prove he could be Batman. And this is the film that got him the role of Batman. So it is very much worth your time and energy. If you haven't seen it, I highly suggest it. So
I like his teeth. Stop! Don't look at me like that.
Randomness. Did you want to continue with movies, or because I know you put on some TV shows? Did you want to discuss like one or two of the shows real quick?
No, it's okay. I mean, because I was gonna mention World War Z.
Oh, go for it.
Yeah, one movie that I am terrified of zombies. I can't watch zombie movies or zombie TV shows after the sun goes down, which is why I don't watch Walking Dead. But I will split World War Z into 2 45-minute intervals and watch it while the sun is up, and to get it watched.
I just want to interrupt for 1 second here.
Okay.
On IMDb, I did bring up the cast list for Equilibrium.
Holy crap, Dominic Purcell is in there.
Dominic Purcell from Prison Break is one of the
I love
featured
him.
characters. I'm sorry.
We'll have to put that in now because I don't remember him being in that.
Lindsay's been on a Prison Break kick.
I haven't even popped in season 5 yet.
But I went ahead and I bought her like all 5 seasons in one shot.
Just don't have the movie yet. Just don't have the made-for-TV movie. Anyway, so off of Prison Break. Although I love Prison Break, sorry. On to World War Z, and the reason why I feel like that one is underrated, again, like I said with oh gosh, what was it? With Kiss Kiss Bang Bang, is that I never hear it talked about, and World War Z had the possibility of having a second one made. But I just keep hearing about it being put on the back burner because I think one of the big reasons is they didn't think that the first one did well enough, I think.
Which is kind of surprising because I had always heard that it was a success.
Yeah, but I love that movie because it really, any zombie movie, it gets into what people are going through. How, staying away, the stuff that they have to do. But you see them running. There's that one part where, maybe this is one reason why I'm biased. One of the daughters is asthmatic.
Oh, that is such a hard, as a parent, like, I get anxiety watching that.
Right. One of the daughters is asthmatic, and she starts having this massive asthma attack, and they had to hit the road running so fast that she doesn't have an inhaler on her, and so they have to hit this not convenience store, this grocery store, and people are just like running through and everything, and he takes Brad Pitt is the dad, and he grabs the asthmatic daughter and hauls her with him to the pharmacy area, and there's a guy back there with a gun, and he's just killed the pharmacist and is raiding the place. And so they stop, and the guy with the gun sees the daughter, and Brad Pitt's character goes, "I just need albuterol." And you kind of get the impression that the guy with the gun maybe worked there because he's able to direct them. The albuterol's over here.
I got the impression he was a druggie.
Oh, really?
Yeah. And so
he'd probably robbed places like that
exactly,
before.
Yeah, because I mean, if I'm remembering correctly, I remember him having the appearance of somebody who's strung out.
Right. Well, all of them were kind of strung out at that moment.
Well, yeah, that's it.
But,
that situation.
Yeah, and then they had to, while in the grocery store, I think they had to kill someone or shoot at someone or something like that because he was trying to pull one of the daughters away. It's chaotic. It's real madness. And after they have this incident with this guy, they see a cop come up and they automatically drop their guns, put their hands up, thinking that the cop's going to do something. And the cop goes over, completely bypasses them, and starts loading up on baby food.
Yeah.
And it's like, ouch. Oh my gosh.
That is one of those movies that before we had children, I could watch and have no problem with it.
Right, yeah.
Since we've had children, it's anything having to do with emergencies with children.
Right.
Just sends my blood pressure through the roof.
Right.
I get so uncomfortable during those movies. I enjoyed World War Z. I thought it was fascinating. But that whole lead up with them trying to protect their children and
Right.
I kept thinking about, when we watched it, the girls were upstairs asleep and I'm like, I need to go up and give them a hug.
But there's there's that one part which probably people are like, oh, this is so ridiculous. But it's when he's in Israel, and come to find out they've had a wall built for a few years now because there had been rumors going on about a zombie uprising.
Yeah.
And it's the whole thing of there's always how Israel works is that if everybody votes this isn't going to happen and we're not going to plan for this, there's always one person set aside who their job is to plan for it. That way that there's if it does come up, there is a solution.
Yeah.
And his thing had been building a wall. So he'd been working on building this wall in case there was this zombie apocalypse. And so all of Israel is just, or all of this town of Israel, Israeli town is hidden behind this wall now. People are being bussed in and everything. And come to find out, the zombies respond to sound. And the people who are coming in, they're so happy that they're safe that they get a microphone and start singing so loudly. And all the zombies that are outside the wall, it draws them too. And they actually start, like, it's like ants. How ants will climb up a wall by climbing on top of each other.
Yes.
They start doing that, and it probably seemed like super ridiculous to people and probably threw people off of the movie. But I thought it was fascinating because if you think about how zombies, how they're often described and talked about, because they don't have any actually higher brain function, they're not paying attention to how the exertion tears at their joints and pulls on their muscles and stuff. So it's nothing for them to be climbing up each other to get to whatever type of food source they can find. I thought it was an interesting aspect, and just to see the way the zombies go after people. And so, and oh my gosh, the part at the World Health Organization at the end is so like nerve-wracking and stressful. You're sitting there, pillow in front of your face, like, oh my gosh, how's he gonna get out of there? No, don't do it. And yeah,
if you are a zombie fan, this is definitely one that if you haven't gotten around to watching it, highly suggest it.
And like I said, I have trouble watching zombie movies, but that's my favorite zombie movie.
So I do want to go ahead and start wrapping up, so we'll talk about one more film. And I was kind of flip-flopping on which one to talk about. And I had actually flip-flopped between two, and then a third one popped up, and I went, okay, I'm talking about this one.
Okay.
Fanboys.
Oh, yeah. I love that movie.
Fanboys is another one that was a financial failure.
Yeah.
There is no other way to describe it. It is a story set in 1999.
98.
Or 98, yes.
Yeah.
And it is the lead up to the release of Star Wars Episode 1. Mm-hmm. And it's 4 lifelong friends. One of them's kind of broken away from the group. And one of the another friend in that group is diagnosed with terminal cancer. Mm-hmm. And he will not live long enough to see the premiere of Episode 1. So they go on a road trip, cross-country road trip, to Skywalker Ranch to steal a print of the film so he can see it before he dies. And on a side note, funny enough, this actually spawned a real-life counterpart.
Oh, did it?
Where with Force Awakens, a fan was going to die before it came out. So there was a huge online petition to allow him to see the film before anybody else, and Disney and LucasArts said, not a problem, come on up.
Aww.
They held a whole thing for him, and he said, I can't tell you anything about it other than I loved it.
Oh, really?
And then he died like days after seeing it.
Oh.
But this is, like I said, this is a film that was nothing but a failure at the box office. $3.9 million.
Okay.
Very small budget.
Right.
Didn't even make $1 million back.
Yeah.
$960,000 at the box office. When you and I saw it, we were excited to see it for various reasons.
We were the only two in the theater.
We were the only two in the theater at the discount theater in town. It didn't even get a major theater release in Texas when we were living out there.
Right.
But it showed up in the discount theater.
Yeah.
Now, we were excited for it because it was filmed in part in Albuquerque.
Yeah.
And we were living in Albuquerque at the time. Mm-hmm. And I was working at the radio stations, and we actually broadcast from the location where they did several of the scenes. Mm-hmm. But most importantly, we were trying to get extras on board for the final scene in the theater for the premiere. So people were showing up dressed in costume.
You were in costume.
I was in costume. I didn't get on camera, but I was in costume for it just because I wanted to work it and work the event.
Right.
Work it, girl. And so we were really eager to see this film. And it's the cast is people that you'll definitely recognize, but I don't think you'll necessarily
recognize them from where. Yeah.
But it does star Jay Baruchel, who was in This Is the End, Tropic Thunder.
He's got the Canadian
he's got the maple leaf tattoo on him.
Yeah.
He's a proud Canadian. It also stars Dan Fogler. who I'm a big fan of. I loved him in Balls of Fury. Loved him in this, and most recently, he's finally back in the public eye. He's a big Broadway actor. He's a Tony Award-winning actor.
He was in Fantastic Beasts and Where to Find Them.
Yes, he is the Nomad, the Muggle in Fantastic Beasts and Where to Find Them, and he is signed on for the other films.
Oh, is he?
So he's definitely getting the attention he deserves. He was the lead contender to play Sam Kinison.
Right.
And if you haven't seen it, Google Dan Fogler, Sam Kinison, and you'll see a screen test that they put together of him recreating a Sam Kinison stand-up special. Amazing. This guy is a fantastic actor that just hasn't gotten his dues yet.
Yeah, he's a lot more versatile than what people give him credit for.
Very much so. He's kind of like picking up the awkward fat guy films, and he can do a lot more than that.
Yeah.
It also has Sam Huntington, who I'm trying to remember what he did. Like, he was in a
Are you talking about the guy from Joan of Arcadia?
No. He is in this, though. We'll get to him in a second.
Yeah.
But Sam Huntington was Jimmy Olsen in Superman Returns with
Brandon Routh.
Brandon Routh. Just such a bad movie. We'll talk. I'm sure we'll have a podcast at some point where we trash
really bad
Superman
geek
Returns.
movies. Yeah.
And that's just going to be me sitting there defending Man of Steel, Batman vs Superman, and Suicide Squad for an hour and a half. Chris Marquette, that's the one you were talking about. He's from Joan of Arcadia. The only other thing that I've seen him in is Freddy vs. Jason. And then rounding out the cast is Kristen Bell.
Oh, yeah. I forgot. How did I forget she was in that?
Because she's in a wig the whole time. She plays a brunette.
Well, I thought she dyed her hair.
From what I understand, she's wearing a wig.
Oh, really?
I mean, I could be wrong, but that was my understanding.
Yeah.
And it's got a really interesting cast. What's his name? Christopher McDonald. He played Shooter McGavin in Happy Gilmore. He plays one of the guy's dads, who is a used car salesman who's overly tanned, and the whole cast is just a lot of fun. It is very Star Wars centric, so they throw in a lot of references, but a lot of cameos. Carrie Fisher, Billy D. Williams is in it, and then they even have
the sounds,
the sounds. But William Shatner. Shatner shows up in a great cameo. Seth Rogen shows up twice. He actually has two different characters. The first one is hilarious. The second one's kind of annoying.
Yeah.
But really, this is a road trip movie that is a love letter to Star Wars fans. Mm-hmm. And I know we've kind of been rambling about various aspects of it, but again, it is one of those films that if you know anybody that's a Star Wars fan that hasn't seen this film, it is your moral and geek obligation to get a copy of it. It's got to be $5 wherever you get a used copy off of eBay or something and show it to them. They will absolutely love it. And I'm going to give one little bit away. The very end of the film, because you know how the film's going to end. There's no ifs, ands, or buts on the progression. You know what to expect, and this is all them getting to seeing the film. The film ends with them at the premiere, and the last line of the movie is one of the guys looking over and saying, "But what if it sucks?"
Yeah,
I knew about that before the movie ever came out, because at the radio station they gave us a copy of the script.
Oh, really?
And when I was told that was the end of the movie, I'm like, I don't care if the rest of the movie's bad, just for that tongue-in-cheek humor, I want to see it.
Yeah. Now, if I remember correctly, one reason why the movie had a lot of trouble getting off the ground, because there was a lot of conflict with the script. Like, at one point they talked about even taking out the whole subplot of that one character having cancer.
Yeah. Now, that wasn't even in the script process. That was in the filming process.
Right. And I remember hearing that and thinking, that's going to kill the whole, like, the driving force of the movie. The driving force of the movie is the fact that this guy has cancer and wants to see the movie before he dies, because otherwise he's not going to get to see it.
Exactly.
And if you take that out, it's like these idiots are just trying to sneak in and see the movie before everybody else. There's nothing to progress the story.
Yeah, there's no reason for the one that's kind of broken away from the group and,
Yeah.
and kind of said, oh, you guys are childish. I'm an adult now.
Right.
There's no reason for him to get back with the group. There's no reason for them to go on this trip that they've been talking about since they were kids, and it all hinged on the cancer subplot.
Right.
And the Weinstein Company, they're the producers of this. They were the ones that are like, no, that's too depressing. We're not going to do it. And if I remember correctly, the director threatened to never release the film if they didn't allow him to keep in the subplot, the cancer subplot.
Yeah. And I mean, it also would have completely cut out the Carrie Fisher cameo.
Oh, yes.
Yeah.
Yeah, Carrie Fisher's cameo was...
like a nurse or a
she
doctor.
Was a doctor.
The doctor.
She was a doctor
Mm-hmm.
when he got a little sick on the road.
Mm-hmm.
Definitely, wouldn't have had her in there. There is a cameo that did get cut, unfortunately. And it was the original actor in the Boba Fett costume from Empire Strikes Back was originally the head of security for Skywalker Ranch.
Oh, really?
When they get... Yeah, again, I'm sorry, we're going to spoil part of it. Spoiler alert, spoiler alert. They get caught at Skywalker Ranch.
Right.
And when they're being interrogated by the head of security there, but they're all dressed up as the militant faction from THX 1138, one of George Lucas's old films. And Ray Park's there from, he played Darth Maul.
Right, yeah.
And the head of security in the theatrical cut is now Danny McBride.
Yeah.
And I've got to say that the original scene with the guy that played Boba Fett as the head of security, I'm so glad they brought in Danny McBride, because with him in there, the scene is hilarious.
Oh, really? Is it that big of a difference?
It is that big of a difference, because Danny McBride is a comedic actor. He's stretching into more serious films now, but he's known for being a very comedic actor.
Right.
And the whole scene of them being interrogated needed that comedic aspect, because the whole thing is, we're going to let you go, but you have to prove that you're not here for corporate espionage. You have to prove you're really diehard fans. So they start asking him questions about Star Wars, and then they start asking him sex ed questions. The Areola Borealis. So again, fanboys, financial failure, like another film that we talked about, Repo the Genetic Opera.
Right. I think Repo, though, it was definitely a bigger failure if you look at the...
It is the percentage. It was $8 million and didn't even make a quarter. This almost made $1 million. Right. And that's just box office.
Right.
This has gotten a cult following amongst Star Wars fans, and even some Star Trek fans, because they run into a group of Trekkies, and that they kind of show up again later, and it's
Star Wars fans versus Trekkies.
Yeah, it is overall, again, it's something I've used to describe pretty much every other film we've talked about tonight. It is so much fun.
Yeah.
It is definitely one of those films that you've got to put in and watch with friends.
Yeah.
Especially if they're all Star Wars fans. Whether somebody in the group has seen it or not, if you have a reason to, put it on and watch it. May 4th rolls around, you want to watch the Star Wars films, watch the original trilogy, and in place of the prequels, watch Fanboys.
Yeah.
And then when that's over, put in episode 7.
Quick question. So, Star Trek fans are referred to as Trekkies, but I've never heard an actual word for Star Wars fans.
I don't think there is one.
Yeah.
And that's the thing, for Star Trek fans, it's Trekkies and Trekkers, and I think Trekkers is considered like derogatory.
I thought it was Trekkies that was now considered derogatory, and Trekkers is the new one that you're supposed to say.
And that's the thing for me is it's kind of ridiculous, because it's, if you're saying it amongst this is going to sound really bad. If you're saying it amongst yourselves, it's fine. It's when other people say it, that's when it's derogatory. But that is kind of how it is, even down to the word geek.
Yeah.
When we say it amongst ourselves, it's a sign of pride.
Yeah.
When somebody else calls you a geek and it's derogatory, them's fighting words. But is there any other things you want to add in before we wrap this up?
No, I don't think so. I mean, I had a whole big old list of.
Well, why don't you
things.
just run down the list real quick? I mean, we don't have to talk about the films, but just kind of read off the other films that you want to bring attention to.
Okay, so see, the other films I had on here were Legend of Billie Jean, which has Helen Slater and Christian Slater, no relation. And I figured the reason I put that on there is because we just happen to find it by chance. You never see it on TV anymore. It doesn't have any real following, it seems like, anymore. Yet I feel like with a lot of the political tensions and stuff that are in the air these days, I feel like it had some relevance.
Okay.
And so I put that on the list. Then Warrior with Tom Hardy.
Oh, yes.
Yeah.
Yes. The greatest MMA movie ever made.
Yeah. I love, there's so much heart in that movie. And I know it has a lot of appreciation amongst like film geeks and stuff like that. You'll have like, the biggest, toughest guy say, I walked out of that movie crying.
Yes.
It's such that's a movie. I'm not much for like sports movies or anything, but that's a movie I could put on and watch just about any time. I love that movie.
It's Rocky meets MMA, and if you haven't seen it, again, see it, but you're probably familiar with it because it's the movie that Nick Nolte got an Oscar nomination for Best Supporting Actor.
Yeah. And then Wolfman, the not the old black and white, but the new one with Benicio del Toro
and Anthony Hopkins
as his dad.
Definitely.
Yeah, I love that one because there are scenes in that where I'm like, oh my gosh, that was awesome. Like whenever he's transforming in the mental asylum,
yes,
and everyone's like, this man thinks he's a werewolf, but we're going to show him now under the light of the full moon that he is not. And then he turns and he just tears everybody to shreds. I'm like, oh my gosh, that's fantastic.
It's like, what were you expecting? As soon as he started turning, run.
Right. It's like he starts changing and the professor has his back to him while he's changing and all the other guys are like, It's like, don't stand there and get up and run out the door.
Comedic, yes.
Yeah, and then
I do want to add, I know we're not going to go deep into these, but there is that one scene at the very end when it's the ultimate fight between the two werewolves and Benicio del Toro as human form gets thrown over a table and then you just hear him behind the table change.
No, it's not Benicio del Toro, it's Anthony Hopkins' character.
No, it's Benicio del Toro's character, yeah. And because Anthony Hopkins' character has already changed. And he threw Benicio del Toro over the table, you hear the change, and then you just see this massive claw just come out, boom, right on the table. And we were watching that the first time, and I think my response was, damn.
Okay, just to start wrapping this up, after that was Noises Off.
Oh yeah, that is a classic for theater fans,
right? And because it's like, because nowadays you've got that one play that's on Broadway
the play
now.
That goes wrong.
The play
yes, this is the precursor to that,
right? Yeah, but it's got Christopher Reeve in it, and he's so funny in it, and you would never have thought after watching Superman that he actually has this very comedic, very funny side.
He's Juilliard trained,
right?
And this gave him a chance to express it.
He's walking around on stage, carrying plates in each hand with his pants down around his ankles, just staring at the director like, what am I supposed to do now? And it's so funny, and he's deadpan serious the whole time, but he's so funny.
It was Michael Caine, Carol Burnett, Denholm Elliott.
So many people, but it's such a good movie. And I said Repo, and then after that was just a couple TV shows, well, 3 TV shows. It was Beauty and the Beast, the old one with Ron Perlman and Linda Hamilton.
Yeah, not the horrible remake with Kristen Cruick that somehow got multi-seasons.
I know. I blogged about that one. I'm not going to start, but so that one, because I feel like that one just doesn't get enough credit modern times for what's the makeup. Oh my gosh, Vincent's makeup in that is just, I've been watching it the past few days and I cannot get over how like flawless that makeup job is
for a TV show where they do have to cut corners for time and resources.
Like the CGI is horrible, the green screen is like, oh, that's totally green screen.
Yeah, but the makeup on him is just like to this day, it looks like something you would see in a major motion picture.
Yeah, it's just so good. The BBC show Merlin and everything, because whenever it went off the air after 5 seasons, I saw articles saying that oh, well, because it didn't do well in America, when they brought it over to America, it went off the air. It's like, no, dude, they had it scheduled for 5 seasons. They had always planned on 5 seasons.
Well, it definitely didn't do well in the States because BBC America was playing it months after the fact.
It wasn't BBC America, it was Sci-Fi.
Oh, Sci-Fi, yes. I'm sorry, I forgot about that because BBC America wasn't playing it for some strange reason.
Yeah.
Sci-Fi was having to do it. Months later, the DVD set of the final season was in stores before it ever aired on Sci-Fi.
Yeah. It's the first season in America played on NBC. And NBC still had the rights, but it didn't make enough... I guess it didn't have enough viewership on NBC, and NBC owned Sci-Fi, and so they put it over on Sci-Fi to air there. But then after that was another BBC show called My Hero.
Oh god, My Hero is basically the very comedic take on an alien from another planet comes to Earth, is a superhero. But it's
completely culture shocked.
Yes, it's as the hero, everyone loves him, but as his alter ego, he has
George
no
Sunday.
comprehension of human customs, how to sound normal in front of people. It is a sitcom through and through. The first 2 seasons of 6 are the only ones that were ever released in the States. You can see the entire run on YouTube.
Yeah.
I suggest checking it out now if you have the slightest bit of interest, because that tends to get taken down.
Due to copyright infringement.
Yeah, due to copyright infringement. But you can find the entire run. Watch all the way up through season 5. Forget season 6. Act like it never happened, because the lead actor left the show, and they pulled a Doctor Who where they just replaced him with another actor and did the whole thing of, well, he lost his body in a poker game, so we had to issue him a new body. And the new actor...
But George would do that.
Yes,
though.
it fit with the character, but the new actor was just terrible.
Yeah, he didn't fit
with the dynamic of the show. But so we originally said we were going to go 30 to 45 minutes. We're just over an hour.
Oh my
now.
gosh, are we really?
Yes, we are.
Holy
so
schmoly.
We're going to go ahead and
You
wrap
should have
this
made me
up.
shut up.
You're my wife. It's not my position to say that. If I want to,
You can think it all you want.
If I want to continue to be in a happy marriage, I don't say that. I think it. I don't say it. So we are going to wrap this up. This is the pre-debut episode 0 of the Containment Unit, and I think this went a lot better than I was anticipating.
Yeah.
I'm going to see how the editing goes. Don't have too much to edit, but this was a lot of fun.
I think it'll be a lot more once we get other people in here and we have more interaction going, it'll definitely be more lively.
Yes, definitely. Which I don't think we I'll listen back to it, but I felt like we had a great conversation with this. But yeah, we are definitely aiming for more than just 2 people on the mic.
Right.
We're going to have, on average, I think we're looking at 3 to 4 per episode.
Right. Passing the mic back and forth.
Yeah, passing the mics back and forth. We've got 2 mics now. We're going for a 3rd setup, and I'm really optimistic after this.
Yeah, this is looking good.
Yeah, so if I did post this, I'm probably going to post this just as an audio file so the team can listen to it.
Right.
So to the team, I hope you guys enjoyed this, and I hope you're looking forward to being part of this.
Sup?
But if we do end up...
Hey, Monica. The creepy voice is back.
But if we do end up posting this on to the actual stream with other episodes of the Containment Unit, I want to say a big thank you for listening. I hope you enjoyed it, and we'll see you soon.
Well, that wasn't such a chore now, was it?